What's up, party people? It's KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in a living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote. And maybe you can have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Today on the program, I got Scotty Austin. Scotty Austin. Oh, you know that name. Yeah. Oh, you've heard that name. You've heard, you know he's a rock star. Oh, do you know some of his story? Oh, okay. You're going to get to hear a little bit more about his story in the next few minutes. So stick around. I'm excited. I'm so excited to talk to Scotty Austin. Oh, man. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? This week's shows, I have two public shows. I will be at the Rab on Friday night. Yes, my usual Friday night gig, the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. The video dance party, karaoke jam. Yes, I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show. We got a little concert starring each and every one of you at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Yeah, come on out and play with us. Come play with us. Full bar, kitchen's open, pool tables. They got a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money while you're doing it, come on out to the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Video dance party, karaoke jam. Starts at 8 p.m. and we go until 12:30 in the a.m. Ooh, and I got some brand new speakers. Yeah. If you look at the top of almost every list of DJ speakers, the QSC K12.2 is at the top of that list. I have two K12.2s QSC. So excited to play them live at the Rab for the first time on Friday night. And then, once they've got it all worked out, Saturday, I will be at the Cool Pool Sports Grill in Fairfield Bay, Arkansas. Yeah, I haven't been there probably in about 6 months. And I know when I was there the last time, what a blast. What a good time. Oh, my goodness. They got a full bar. They got a pool. I don't know if I'm going to be out by the pool or in the Cool Pool Grill itself. I know it's going to be 7:30 to 11:30, so I'll probably be inside. But I don't know. Will the pool still be open? I know they're trying to kick off the Memorial Day weekend, which, happens to be this weekend, depending on when you're listening to this. But, they're kicking off the Memorial Day weekend over at the Cool Pool Sports Grill in Fairfield Bay, Arkansas. 7:30 until 11:30. Video dance party, karaoke jam. Oh, hang tight for a second. I got a thing in the mail for Moix RVs, and they got a new store here in Conway, Arkansas. The Toad Suck Station, MoixRV.com, 501-273-6069. Well, I went in there because they said, hey, you could win $20,000 or a brand new RV. And all I got was this T-shirt, which is pretty cool, too. It's pretty cool, too. I got a new T-shirt, and it has like a little Toad Suck on the back, Toad Suck Station. So thanks to the people over at Moix RV for the cool T-shirt. I will wear it with pride. All right, that's enough intro. Let's get into it with Scotty Austin. So excited for you to hear Scotty Austin and see Scotty Austin. If you're listening to the audio version, I encourage you to check out the video version, youtube.com/user/KeysDAN. Skyping Scotty Austin now.
I'm grilling.
Look at you. You're making the fat man very hungry, Scotty Austin.
Look, I got my Tony Satcheries.
Okay.
That's my man right there. My buddy Doug's one of my best friends, but on top of that, They make a fantastic seasoning. I'm gonna give them a shout out right off the bat.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I want you to give lots and lots of shout outs. We got to give credit where credit is due all the time, every time, because we know we cannot do it all by ourselves.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Well, since you gave shout outs, I'm going to give one to Mary Holt over there at Rocktite Agency.
That was my next one, Miss Mary's Music.
Oh, my.
Rocktite Entertainment.
Yeah, I'm so glad she put us together.
Me too.
Scotty Austin, I don't do a lot of research on these things, but for you, I kind of did. I kind of did a little research. I know a little bit about you. I don't know a lot about you. I know that you're, as far as I could see on your YouTube page, and I don't think you have an actual YouTube page, not one that I found, but there's several videos of you.
I don't have an active one.
Yeah, there's several videos of you doing your thing. You are straight up rock star, man.
Oh, well, thank you. That's very kind of you.
I know we
I'm
spoke.
a weirdo for sure.
I know we spoke. Yeah, I know it's weird to even contemplate doing anything in the entertainment business. Starving. No, the word artist often gets preceded by the word starving, and there's plenty of reason for that.
Very real.
Oh my gosh, the struggle is real for sure. But no, I'm stoked to be talking to the Scotty Austin. You're on the What Makes You Famous podcast. It's KeysDAN. You can call me Dan. My mama calls me Dan. But for the people,
What's up, Dan?
for the people that don't know, for the people that have never heard or have heard little about you, give the people an idea of who a Scotty Austin is.
Well, I'm a straight up rock and roll singer. I'm on a solo journey now. I spent the last better part of a decade, about 8 years, as the lead singer of the international platinum band Saving Abel, singing the song Addicted, which is what some people know that more than they know the band name.
Well, that, and I think that
now I'm on a solo journey.
the other hit was 18 Days, I think was their lesser hit, but definitely Addicted.
They had a bunch of big, actually, Addicted wasn't even a number one. It was only number two.
Right.
So like Sex is Good was a number one. They had several big hits.
Well,
I think Addicted is actually the biggest one.
Scotty Austin, you are so much more than the second lead singer of Saving Abel. You are, I mean, where did a little tiny baby Scotty Austin grow up, man? Tell the people about that. How did you begin?
Well, I'm from a small town in West Tennessee called Parsons in Decatur County, right on the banks of the Tennessee River. And I grew up in a Pentecostal band, which is a Christian group. I don't know, not many people are familiar with that. Maybe a lot of the Arkansas people, the Southern folks know. Most people know us as Snake Handlers, I guess. The Snake Handlers, they were the most popular of the Pentecostal. Of course, my family didn't do that. But we did have a band, and my grandfather was the band leader, and everybody in the family just pretty much played a part. So I started on tambourine, drum set, bass, piano, guitar, lead guitar, finally the vocals. So here I am. But, I mean, anybody that knows anything about that knows it's a high intense situation. It was like a lot of gospel music, but it's really fast and upbeat, like, so it's basically God.
Well, I've talked to a lot of artists on this podcast for sure, and gospel and singing with a church and singing with a church choir is the beginning of a lot of their stories. And you're no different, man. Pentecostal is for some people that I've been through the religion gambit. I started off as a Catholic, and then I slowly moved away from that and kind of veered through, and I've been searching probably, the better part of my life for the right fit. And so far, I really haven't found it, but I did happen upon the Pentecostal. I did I DJ weddings, so I did one wedding. I believe I don't know if it was Pentecostal, but I do remember the snake handling part of it. That was I'm kind of interested and fascinated with the religion, but I love the fact that there's a band, and I love the fact that there's music involved, because that.
Well, it was electric music too. It wasn't just like wasn't traditional music. It was traditional music done with electric guitars and a drum set. It was terrifying as a child, to be perfectly honest. But my grandfather was I mean, he's my inspiration. He taught me about music, and I would see him. He would, anyone they would call them church pews, which is the benches in a church. He would get up and he would run across those with his feet, like right at the, just run across the whole thing, across the backs of them. Sorry, I'm flipping my grill stuff at the same time. Don't mean to mess with you. But we're grilling and chatting.
Yeah,
Pretty
man.
Southern rock style.
This could be another.
He would run across those, and it would scare me to death. But it would get people fired up into a frenzy. So I just take it, and it's basically what I do now. I'm just sing about more fucking than he did.
Yeah, well, I mean, that definitely gave you the wherewithal to become a performer, because that in itself is a performance. You're trying to
yes, it was.
You're trying to shape
much
my
better meaning. But don't get me wrong. I am a Christian. I'm full-hearted Christian here.
Yeah.
But I'm not as steadfast in my beliefs as him. Well, it's starting to rain a little bit. I'm going to step inside here. You're going to have to catch me walking through the house and with my family. I'm here with the wife and kid. I don't have my son with me today.
Well, for the people that are listening to the audio version, I encourage you to check out the video version, because we're getting a tour of the Scotty Austin complex. I
guess you are.
I saw hot dogs on the grill, and they look delicious.
Those are bratwurst. Those are beer brats, man.
Even better. Oh my goodness. The fat man is very hungry.
Beer brats and bacon wrapped cheddar poppers.
Oh my goodness.
Actually, not cheddar there, but they're filled jalapenos, stuffed jalapenos wrapped in bacon.
All right. So how often is Scotty Austin in charge of the cooking the family meal?
Anytime it's warm enough that I can grill. I love grilling. We do that on the road. That's my main sign of success, honestly, is that I feed my band like crazy, which will make them all fatter. Even my last manager, he's like, "What are you doing to those guys?" I'm like, "I'm fucking feeding them, man."
Well, I mean, Scotty Austin,
so we eat nonstop.
Yeah, we're definitely not one thing, man. This could parlay to a whole nother career for you. It could be the Scotty Austin chef cook-off, or Chef Scotty Austin shows you how to cook interesting meals, bratwurst, and bacon covered poppers. Oh my goodness, you're making my mouth water. I'm gonna stop being able to talk in a second.
I'm so sorry about that. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to lead you off on a tangent, but they are delicious, and I'm fantastic at it.
Yeah, you grill master, man. That's one of the things that a man needs to know how to do. Be the grill master. Even though the lovely wife is in the kitchen, probably preparing all the meat. Maybe
she doesn't let me go in the kitchen. I'm not allowed in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I have to cook outside.
She's probably cutting vegetables, preparing, seasoning, and then she hands you a plate full of raw meat. And all you do is you put it on the grill, and you call yourself the master, even though she was the one that really did all the seasoning. I'm kind of projecting.
You're bringing out too many details here.
Yeah, I'm kind of projecting, because I think of my wife whenever she hands me meat for the grill. It's already all ready to go. Pretty much all I got to do is run it over the fire and hand it back to her.
Yeah, the fun part.
Oh, fire. No, man, I kid, and this gives me a little idea of who you are. You're a family man. It sounds like you're doing good at this point. But take me back to Scotty Austin in school. Did you do some? What kind of trouble were you making when you were in school?
Well, I knew I was going to do this my whole life. You can ask anyone I grew up with. I was already. Honestly, I probably missed a lot of my childhood because I was way too focused, way too early. I just knew I was going to do this because my family did it, and that we had to take music lessons. That was just what I was born to do. But I was in the marching band. I wasn't the cool kid. I was probably the creepy kid, to be honest with you. In retrospect, I know I was the creepy kid. But,
well, I mean that's
I made really good grades and played music. Didn't have girlfriends or I did have my group of friends, all the Dungeons and Dragons nerds. We stuck together.
Well, these are the adjectives that you're using for yourself: creepy, weirdo, nerd, I guess, type of guy.
I use those as badges of honor.
Oh, for
Those are not
sure.
negative.
Oh, for sure, man. Ever since the 80s, Revenge of the Nerds, nerds have power.
Nerds?
Yeah.
Nerds!
But then you realize all those nerds that I went to school with, and I'm class of 86. I might be a bit older than you, or maybe not. I don't know. But the class of 86, all those nerds that I went to school with are now captains of industry. They're the ones making all the money, that are over in Silicon Valley and whatnot, and doing startups. And
one benefit is we got really good at math.
yeah. And that's now that's a good thing that you need to have when you're in the music business, because it is a business, and you can get ripped off if you don't know your maths.
People ask me a lot. They're like, "How do you make it in the music business?" And I go, "What do you mean by that? What is your description of making it?"
Right.
Like, it is a business. Like, and what I've realized is, if you start making money, the industry will come to you. They will. It doesn't matter where you are. You can be in the middle of Kansas, anywhere. If you start making money, people that are snakes are going to show up to try to get some of it. That's just the way of life. And the music industry is one of the worst, I guess, in that aspect. Well, not as much anymore, because there's not as much money in what I do, rock and roll. But
there's going to be some cat in a proverbial suit wanting a piece of the action. I'm listening. I listen to podcasts all the time, so I'm listening to a podcast about punk music. And as soon as punk started coming around in 73, 74, the kids like it. Oh, every punk band got signed, and then as soon as the new wave starts coming out, oh, the kids like this now? Every new wave band, everybody with a synthesizer gets signed, and the kids like glam rock now. Oh, everybody with tight spandex pants jumping off a stage, playing some kind of chord on a guitar. Maybe don't even know how to play the instruments. But if they got a certain look, and if something that can be packaged, some suit from a big record company is coming. But that's not always a bad thing. You can
invest in 10 bands, and if one band has success, they pay for the rest of the failures, So it's like gambling. It's a numbers game. It's math.
All right. Well, you're in the small town. You come from a small town. You have those small town values. The religion is not definitely not a small part of that. Whether you're deep into it or not, it's a part of your base. And then the music.
Yeah, it makes me a great entertainer.
Yeah. Well, the music that your family was teaching you, the values, plus the electronics. Were you in the band at church?
Oh, yes.
How old were you when you started doing that?
I don't know. Very, very young, because I played drums, and I was still in elementary school.
Wow.
So I was very young.
You got a leg up. I just recently heard a podcast with Flea, and he started at 11 years old playing music too.
It was well before 11.
Yeah. So you have that bass, you have the music in you. Are you only listening to religious music, or do you have some kind of a secular influence at this point?
When I was younger?
At this point.
As a child?
Yeah.
Oh, now?
No, when you were at that point.
No. It was only, it was just religious music. I remember going on a church trip, and my cousin played Appetite for Destruction, and I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And it changed my life. And you heard, I'm like, oh my God, that is the coolest thing I've ever heard. I never heard guitar with distortion before that, because it was all just really clean and fast and precise. It was really detailed, but it didn't have that swagger. As soon as I heard Appetite for Destruction, it was over for me.
All right. Well,
I was like, I'm going to be a rock star. And I told my band directors, my people I went to school with, they're like, that's probably not going to happen. Joke's on you fuckers.
Well, what kind of instruments you playing in the marching band?
Drums. I was a drummer.
Drums in the marching band, drums at the church. You definitely know how
Well,
to.
I believe everything comes back to the rhythm.
The rhythm section, man. Definitely, definitely.
If you ain't got the groove, you don't have anything.
Well, I know, when I'm pumping them through my speakers, that bass, that beat,
Go ahead and do this.
that is what is getting people on the dance floor. Is that beat and that bass, the rhythm. And then, you'll have a singer and you'll have a guitarist that'll lay down something interesting. That'll give them something interesting to think about while they're jamming, while they're moving, And that's where,
But since then I moved to the electric guitar. My uncle, he had passed away in a car accident when I was a child, and I had to move on up to electric guitar. And I seem to, excel at that. I've done a lot, and I was very successful on the guitar.
yeah, you're one of the rare people that knew from a very young age that you wanted to do this for the rest of your life. I mean, you get out of high school. What year are you graduating? And did your parents ever say you got to have something to fall back on? Did you have another aspiration to go to college or do something else?
Well, luckily enough, my dad was a piece of shit, so he wasn't there to tell me I couldn't do something. My mother was there to tell me I could do whatever I want, so I owe it all to my mother, to be honest.
Well, there's two ways that you can parent. You can be either a gardener or a carpenter. Carpenter will put you on a path and hammer you until you get down that path. A gardener, which sounds like what your mom is, will give you all the tools you want, let you do pretty much anything you want, and let you find your own path. And, maybe they'll give you a little guidance, but it sounds like I don't know. I guess I'm more of the gardener. I give my kids
See, that doesn't. I do believe in nature over nurture in a lot of ways because I am gritty and I refuse to lose. And when I lose, it upsets me. But all my brothers are too, and we didn't grow up together. We're from my father's side of the family, and so we didn't have any connection. But we all have that mentality. So I do believe that it's in the DNA, the grit.
What did they?
Thank God for my mom's love and the music.
Yeah. Did any of your brothers and sisters that did not grow up with you, did any of them end up in the entertainment business?
My brother was a radio DJ, one of my brothers, for ESPN radio, but they're not musicians like me. My mother's side of the family had the art.
Is he the guy that says, "Welcome to the big show"? Yes.
I'm sure he said it before. I'm pretty sure he's working in offices these days.
Oh, for sure. No, hey, once you start talking into a microphone, and I've been doing it since '86, you don't want to stop. I do this every day. I enjoy it, man. And just like
you're preaching to the choir, buddy.
For sure, man. I mean, once you get up on stage in front of people,
I caught the bug.
Yeah, and from a young age, playing drums, I'm sure all the kids were looking at you going, "Huh, that's pretty cool." You're playing the drums at high school. You're playing the drums at church. You are, you're beating those skins. But when did you actually graduate, and when did you pick up that guitar? What year? Put you on a timeline.
Jesus, man. I didn't graduate. I dropped out of high school.
Okay. I mean, hey.
I tested high on my ACT scores, and I got accepted into MTSU, which is Middle Tennessee State, the state school in Nashville. And I studied classical guitar performance. And this was back in 95 or something, an eternity ago.
Well, do you feel like going through the theory and learning the different scales and such, did it help? Oh,
absolutely. I mean, I can play any instrument as long as I know where middle C is. So because I know the theory behind it, the basics. And I preach it to everyone around me that plays music. I'm sure they all get tired of it, but they all hear it nonstop from me.
Yeah, I mean, you get guys that are on, guys and gals that are on YouTube picking up tabs, or like my cousin Timmy, who can use
tabs. I'm a sheet reader, but I'm an overly educated rock and roller. I will tell you that as it comes to music.
I think there's a lot to that, man. You went to high school a bunch of times, but you took the time out to actually learn your craft and make sure that you. There's a reason why Beethoven is still around and Mozart and all those guys from way back when, because they knew how to put chords together. They knew how to put music together, and that's something that you learn in school from a teacher. But what kind of a teacher was teaching you? Were they jazz? Were they rock? Were they or a little bit of everything?
Classical. Well, I started in gospel, but I'm very eclectic. I just absolutely love music. I mean, I've been in a mariachi band. I played in the Middle Tennessee Symphony. I played symphony there. I had a coffee company hire me to go to Central America to put together a salsa band for a coffee company. And, I was a band leader on Broken Bow Records, which is Jason Aldean's label, and country music. And then, I've been the front man for Saving Abel and rock and roll. I am a musician. And music is what I do, and I don't do it for accolades. I do it because I freaking love music. I got to stand at Beethoven and Mozart's grave in Austria because I sang my way there with Saving Abel, and I was standing there with the guys because that was part of it. If I was like, if I'm going to tour here, we're going to visit them. And they're literally like buried 10 foot from each other. And I was standing there just looking around, I'm like, I cannot believe that my redneck ass sang enough songs and played enough guitar that I'm standing here amongst the greatest musicians the world has ever known. That's all the success I would ever need. Just knowing what I've done already. The music that I make is eclectic. Now that I went solo from Saving Abel, my new record is going to be eclectic, just like me. I don't think any music has, I think bands fall into it a lot because, they have genres and they're so fine-tuned now. You can't be just rock and roll. Like in the 70s, rock and roll would be Queen, the Rolling Stones, and the Eagles, and Led Zeppelin. They're all rock and roll. But now that would not be the case. They'd be like active rock, modern rock, pop, prog rock. It's like, so these bands, if they get a song, they have to write a whole record that sounds freaking identical. So you're listening to the same song over and over. I'm not doing that this time. I'm going to make a record I want people to be able to listen to from the beginning to the end. I want to make an album because I'm an artist, and like the real world, I have emotions and different emotional gamuts. I'm not always pissed off. I'm not always happy, and I want my record to reflect that. So I'm hoping you guys all listen to it because I'm super excited about it. It's taking me longer to finish than I thought it would because of that reason. Because I'm spending the time and effort to make it magical.
Well, Scotty Austin, you sent little chills up my spine talking about Mozart and the Ludwig van. Beethoven has been my favorite. It's the ninth is my jam, man. It's my ringtone on my phone. Whenever I hear it.
I took my back stage pass off and left it on his grave.
Oh my gosh, man! Where is that?
Because you're always welcome at my shows.
I am putting that on my bucket list, man. It's going to be on the What Makes You Famous walking tour. Where is that? Where are those graves?
It's in Vienna, Austria.
That makes a lot of sense.
Huge graveyard there, and it was Brahms was buried right beside him. The guy that did a la-la-ba, and Strauss. He did, they were all four buried right there in these big, extravagant, headstones.
How amazing is that?
Falco was buried there too. What you got to think is like, there's no telling who's buried there, to be honest.
Okay.
Of course, I had a single mindset when I went there.
You went from one extreme to another. You went from, people that were making hit after hit after hit after hit to Falco, man. Der Kommissar. I love that guy.
Once you go over there, Falco's like the biggest shit. He was their Elvis.
Yes.
So, when we went there, people weren't there to see Mozart. They were there to see Falco's tombstone.
Heck yeah.
I shit you not. That's for real.
No, I learned tons of German. Alles klar, der Kommissar. Oh, yeah. Don't turn around. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. He is the king over there.
Well, that's just it, man.
Amadeus.
And there's all kinds, man. Oh, there is all kinds of music, all kinds of fun, man. And here you have been through the gambit. Yeah, I mean, you have a pedigree. I think I should probably change your name to Dr. Scotty Austin, Doctor of Music, because you've been through the gambit. You've taken the time to study all the classics, the greats, and into the blues, country, pop, rock. You can do it. You can do it all. But how do you bend your? All right, let's bring it. Let's go ahead and bring it up since you went through in 2014. How do you get this chance to become a part of this established band?
Well, it's a crazy story, really. I guess, like I said earlier, I was a band leader in the country music scene, and I just got burned out. I'm like, this is not who I am. So I was like, I am quitting. I'm just going to stop this, which, of course, as you can see, that didn't work out. But I came back home. I left Nashville, and I moved back to Jackson, Tennessee, which is right between Nashville and Memphis, just a smaller town. And I decided I was having my son. You know, he's 11 now, and he has been diagnosed with autism, and he's nonverbal. And I wrote all these songs that I'd had for years, and I'm like, and I wasn't a singer. I didn't sing at all, so because I was like anybody else. I hated my own voice. You know, everybody does if they're normal. Well, I decided, well, I'm going to record these songs because I want my son to hear them after I'm gone. You know, I want these to be here for him. And I recorded them, and I recorded the first song, and it got picked up by radio by the guy that recorded it. Was like, man, this is great. And he sent it out, and it got picked up across the nation on radio. Just 3 minutes of music. It was a song called "The Devil's Ride." I mean, it didn't chart or anything like that, but it got around. And Save and Abel's manager, Jeff Hansen, and the guy that discovered Creed and did them, he got a hold of my stuff, and he called me up, and he was like, "This is the worst thing I've ever heard." And then he called me up a couple of weeks later. He was like, "I can't get away from it. I think it's the greatest thing I've ever heard." It's all I want to listen to. He's like, it's literally the greatest thing I've ever heard. He's like, I want to be your manager. And I'd already decided I was quitting the industry. I'm like, well, I don't care. I'm not doing this. And he's like, well, I want to be your manager. I'm like, okay, well, you manage Save and Abel. I'm a Save and Abel fan. I was like, they're playing in Memphis. This was a Wednesday. I said, they're playing in Memphis Friday. I want to open for them. He goes, done deal. And he called up and he kicked their opening band off, and he put me on there. And I played the show. And the next morning, Save and Abel called me and said, you're our new lead singer. We're going on tour in 2 weeks. And that was it. It's been a decade later.
That's an Arnel Pineda journey type of a story right there, picking you out of obscurity. But really, was that you wrote this song and it got put on the radio, but whether they liked it or not, you didn't write it for them. You wrote it for your boy.
Well, I don't write songs for anybody.
Right.
I write songs because they're in the air and I just kind of grab them out. Like, oh, that's there. Let me snatch this thing. That makes sense. Oh, that sounds kind of creepy and weird, like I am.
But man, I mean, what a story! And the show that you did, where you're opening for Saving Abel, was that a full band show, or was that you with the guitar?
No, it was a full band show, and I just had a 3-piece. I played guitar and there was the singing, and I had Stephen Pooley on drums and Scott Anthony Little on bass guitar. And I took both of them with me. Stephen Pooley, he's still my drummer today. He left Save and Abel with me. He's in my solo project. So he's still playing drums with me today. So if you guys come see us live, you'll see me and Steve, and we've been together for 15 years. He's my drummer. And Scott went on as our road manager, and he left after about 6 months to pursue a different career. But here we are.
Well, Scotty Austin, not only is that a fairy tale story, but it's a story of loyalty. It shows that you had a band, you got called out to go front this other band. You could have left those other two guys behind, but instead you gave them opportunity as well. What happened to the band, the drummer from Saving Abel? Did he leave too, or was that Jared Weeks?
Well, he left with Jared Weeks. He left when Jared did because I don't actually know that story that happened without me, so
Yeah.
I'm not familiar. But I know they let me bring my fellas with me. Well, and speaking of loyalty, when I partied with Louise with Saving Abel last August, I took the techs, the guys that have been taking our trash out for the last few years, and I put them in my band. So my new band is made up of the techs that I had in Saving Abel, except for Stephen Pooley, of course. He is still my drummer. But my new bass player is Jacob Chandler, and he was our main tech, our stage manager for 4 years. But I figure he wasn't taking our trash out because he liked it.
Well, since I'm not
he was taking out stuff, he was there.
yeah, since I'm not a rock star, a tech, they don't just take out the trash. Don't they tune up your guitars as well?
No, exactly. He does everything. You need water. He gets water. He tunes up guitars. He fixes basses when they break. He does everything. He is the guy that keeps the show. They're the magic behind it. Without them, they are truly what separates. Production separates a pro band from a bar band. If anybody out there is in a bar band is wondering, light, sound, and the guys that make it run are everything. You're only as good as your team.
Obviously, these are good cats to have in the Scotty Austin band. That's a smart idea.
I wouldn't hire them if I didn't think so.
That's a very smart idea to have a Mr. Fix-It or a Mrs. Fix-It in the band. You're a smart fella.
Now it makes it hard because when we go on the road, I'm like, hey, I'll hire you techs. They're like, no, we don't want them because they're going to follow them around and try to adjust everything behind them. So,
well, all right, that's man. Okay, so you start singing with Saving Abel. You do that for 10 years, and you said it takes you all around the world. I mean, what are the places you went besides Vienna?
Scotland, England, Germany. I mean, Scotland, we visited Braveheart's castle, William Wallace, the actual castle there. This was crazy.
Man, this is all history. We talk about this country where we have like things, when we say something's old, maybe it's 100, maybe 150 years old. You go over to Europe, and their things are like thousands of years old, man.
Yeah, me and Steven stood at Stonehenge going, can you believe our redneck asses are here?
Wow, man.
And we played music to get here.
Yeah.
At Stonehenge.
That's
like crazy.
It's like a working.
Magical.
It's a working vacation, man. I've done that going across this country. I've never been outside of this country, but I've had the chance to tour across the country, and you imagine that you're seeing things that have been touched by several thousands of people over thousands of years. Do you feel the ghosts? Do you feel spirits? Do you feel the energy that's coming off of these places? What's the place that made you feel the most energy, and which one which one had the most fans that responded? I mean, it just.
Well, I mean, I guess. Well, Saving Abel was never released in Europe, so we were basically an unknown band there. So it didn't take but about a week before the band's like, "Hey, man, you're going to have to carry some shit too, even though you're the singer," because we didn't have any tags. It was like we were a brand new band again. I'm like, oh yeah, here, I'll carry some guitars. But Scotland actually was the one that felt the most magical to me when we toured Edinburgh. The castle where King James, translated the Bible. He was born there. We're standing there at the rock that he was born at, and it was all cobblestone streets. But I mean, I enjoyed Costa Rica a lot too. I thought that was fantastic. When I went down to do the coffee company thing, back then they just rented me an apartment and dropped me off, and I'm like, okay, I don't speak the language, so within a couple of weeks I got pretty good at it. It's amazing how good you get at speaking a language when you need to find food and shit.
Yeah, sun, sand, bikinis. I think Costa Rica is a fine place to go and hang your hat for a couple of days. For sure, man.
I was in San Jose for the most part, which is like the capital. It's a big city. But I made a great friend, Pato Barraza, and he was a big #1 artist in Costa Rica, and me and him hit it off really well. We did a lot of writing, and we're still in contact now, and that's been 15 years ago, I guess.
See, you hit on something.
You know?
The music community is a very small community. I don't care how big you are. You remember a lot of the people that you played with, the ones that really touched your soul. If you watched that cat play in San Jose, you probably saw him play a song or two, right?
I saw him at an open mic, and he blew my mind, and we hit it off. But see, you know, when I was in music school, me and my music history teacher would have it out because it's like, you know, he would say that music is you know, it's cultural. It only works in certain cultures, and I think it's universal because, I mean, otherwise, explain Michael Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't need to speak the language to know that music moved their soul.
Yeah, but his dad was a carpenter. All those Jacksons, Joe was a carpenter. You're going to be in the music business, and I'm going to hammer you until you get into the music business. They had no choice.
Hey, man, Jesus was a carpenter.
Yeah, they had no choice, man. There was no gardening there. It was all carpentry. But, yeah.
It doesn't matter. It still moved people on a spiritual level, you know.
Oh, for sure. I mean, but, he, you know, like you said, that you lost a bit of your childhood. You know, the whole story of the Jacksons is that they lost their childhood. That's like the underlying tone of all that, you know. But that's a whole nother story, Scotty Austin.
Well, you know, but the upside is that I still get to live like Peter Pan, you know. I get to live as a child now.
You know, it's true, man. And you have that stage presence. You're a rock star. You're in a good shape. I think of the, what is it? We all stay skinny because we just won't eat. How are you staying in shape? How are you staying so fit? Because, ladies, if you go to a Scotty Austin show, he's probably going to take his shirt off.
Yeah, well, the music moves me, man. I'm very energetic. That's all I can say.
Well, I mean, how are you staying in shape? Are you working out? Are you running? Or are you eating properly? Bratwurst, I don't think that's the way to go for a guy like me.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just genetics, I guess. I've been very lucky. It's gonna pass at some point, you know. But I mean, I don't eat a lot at a time. I probably eat 5 meals a day with very small portions.
Okay, you were one of those cats in school saying, you know, while I'm over here working as hard as I can to try to get these LBs off, they're saying, oh, I need to gain some weight. I need to gain some weight.
No, I wasn't that. You know, I've been in the spotlight for a long time. You know, photographers are like, hey, I can't see your abs anymore. I'm like, oh, thanks. I didn't think being called fat would hurt my feelings, but it does. Damn it, you know.
Okay, there's another thing, another podcast I'm listening to. Fat back in the 70s, back in the 80s, and even back in the 50s. You know, like the world's fattest guy in Guinness Book of Records in 1986. I think he only weighed 400 pounds. Those are those twins that were on the little mini bikes. 400 pounds.
Oh,
now we're running around 600, 800. How many pounds? Yeah, we're big fatties.
Jim Morrison, his goal was to get fat. Yeah. Oh, speaking of the Doors, you know, they showed up at one of my sound checks. The last two remaining living members a couple of years ago. First time they've been seen in public in years. They showed up. We were playing the Whiskey a Go Go, and they showed up. Robbie Krieger and John Densmore. Those two. They showed up and. They tried to come in, and my text stopped them. They're like, hey, it's a closed session. And they're like, do you know who the hell we are?
Yeah.
We're the original house band. And they just laid the law down.
Oh, they're on the short list of, if you're trying to describe what a California band is, the Doors shows up on a very short list. The Eagles, you know, maybe, what was it, Snoop or whatever? Yeah, but, NWA, you know, for sure. But
trying to get Joe Walsh to let me cut one of his tunes.
Oh my gosh, man. Okay, look, you got a pedigree. You know, when you're a rock star such as you are, other rock stars are going to want to work with you. I guess you're open to collaborations. I mean, you see pop.
That's what I'm doing a lot of now. What I'm doing a lot of now because I'm, you know, once again, I said I'm very eclectic with my music. I like everything if it's good.
Well, I mean,
but I'm a rocker because I'm intense, you know.
You're putting out your own music, I'm guessing. I haven't been able to find any Apple or Spotify or any of that other thing.
I've only put one song out with this project. My cover of Rebel Yell I've done, the Billy Idol cover, which I got very lucky and we've charted. We hit 23 on the Billboard indicator charts with that one, which was a big surprise to all of us. we were just putting it out to keep people, entertained while we're finishing this record.
Bro, I'm a child of the 80s, and yes, if I'm a kid of the 80s, I had the Rolling Stone that had Billy Idol right on the front. Rebel Yell, big song of the 80s. It's ballsy to try to cover that one, but you're not covering it for a guy like me. You're covering it for the next generation, and I heard it, and I liked it. You made it your own. You have... All right, it sounds okay. Yes, we know it's Rebel Yell, but it's Scotty Austin Rebel Yell. It's got changes in it. There's pauses that are different than Billy Idol's.
It's unique.
Yeah. You make it your own, like Shine Down covering Simple Man.
Yeah, but I didn't want to get too far away from the original. I wanted to do it justice. A lot of people are taking songs just way out away from where it was. And what I like about, with Billy Idol, he was light years beyond his time anyway. He still is. He's out rocking now. But so you can do something very modern with his, and it doesn't sound out of line because he was so far ahead then. So, I can modernize it, and I feel like it still sounds like Billy Idol, to a certain extent.
Well, I just found out, and once again, listening to this podcast on punk rock, he was in a punk rock band. He was like in Gen X, and I didn't realize that "Dancing with Myself" was a Gen X song. So there's there's covers, and there's a reason that you cover these songs, because they're classics and you love them and you want to see what you could do with them. Why did you want to cover Rebel Yell? What made you want to pick that song out of the air and make that the first, well, I guess really the first Scotty Austin song that you're releasing as a solo artist?
Well, the last few years we've in Save a Neighbor, we were doing a deep album cut, and in the middle of the song we would break into just a small section of White Wedding, and when I would go a white wedding, the crowd would go ape nuts, man. They would just lose their shit. Like, man, people love it when I do Billy Idol. And as soon as I went solo, my new producer Malcolm Springer, which is a genius, first thing he said was, we're going to do Rebel Yell. We're going to cut this one and we're going to release it. He called that. I'm like, whatever, man.
Well, who do you have to
like
talk
that.
to?
That's cool.
Do you have to talk to Billy Idol himself or his people? Who's got the rights to that?
I'm sure my producer, I'm sure did. We did have to get rights to do it. They did. They signed off on it and let us do it.
Has Master Idol reached out to you?
Not that I know of, but I would love to chat with him. Hell, I'm obviously a fan, or I wouldn't have done the song.
All right. Well,
but, that's why I did White Wedding. I don't want to get too nerdy on you, but at the end of my phrases, music like go drop down to the minor seven, and that's very Billy Idol, is what they said. I didn't realize it wasn't much, but so I'm just really good at going down to the flat seven at the end of a phrase.
Well, let's put that out into the ether. Billy Idol, contact Scotty Austin. He'd like to talk to you. Yeah, and maybe you can collaborate. Oh my goodness, one of the coolest things I saw. All right, I got to work with Vanilla Ice in Fort Lauderdale, in close to Miami, when he was in his country phase, the country phase of Ice Baby. He's taken that one song.
That's embarrassing.
He's done a metal version, blues version, country version.
Every time I hear people do the country phase, I feel like they're struggling. Like,
but these kids,
this means you're tired.
These kids named Jedward, they took Bohemian Rhapsody and Ice Baby, mixed it together like I always do in the clubs, like I used to do in the clubs, and they got Vanilla Ice to come on the video and work with them.
Well, everybody I know that knows that guy said he's cool as a fan. So
he is.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Okay, well, this is what I want from Scotty Austin, and I'm going to put it out in the universe. When you make the video for Rebel Yell, I want Billy Idol to show up at the end, and you guys just sing together. Bam.
That would be freaking awesome.
I want that.
Here.
Fans want that. Okay, this fan wants that. No, and that's the other thing is music videos, man.
This artist wants that.
Well, that's the other thing is music videos. Ever since the MTV age, and I know MTV doesn't play music videos anymore. You got to put a video out there. You got to be pretty all the time. You got to form the look like you have, and make a video. Are you working on music videos for
Yes,
your own solos?
Actually, I'm planning the next single. To be honest with you, I have an original coming out, so that's in the works right now. I don't have a release date yet, but it's already in the works.
Who are you working with?
We've got a Malcolm Springer still, the same producer that I did Rebel Yell with, 10-inch records, Universal distribution and such.
Very nice,
Everybody
man.
knows that name, Universal.
Well, Scotty Austin,
So
I'm
tennis music is who I'm working with. But you guys, please check out my music and make sure if you're in Arkansas, you guys come see me in Little Rock. We're going to have a blast.
I was definitely going to get to that. You have a show that's coming up at the Rev Room in July, on July 11th, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, July 9th, Saturday, July 9th.
The night.
At the Rev Room, and you got Dark from Day One, Luke Schumacher.
Those are some of my great friends too, and Dark from Day One is freaking awesome. I actually requested them to be there, so you guys are going to love them if you come out.
Oh, that is super fantastic, man. And I know as we wind this thing down, your bratwurst must be burning by now.
Yeah, that's what. Well, this is my last time with my family. My wife has heart surgery in the morning, so
oh my gosh,
I want to spend some time with my family. But I wanted to make sure I had time to talk with you and chat with you about this, and tell you a little about me, and invite everyone out to the show.
All right.
So I'm trying to spend a little time with my family tonight, as you all understand.
Well, I want you to give some shout outs to the people that have helped you along the way, and then just give some last words for the people. I don't want this to be the last time that we talk. But go ahead and give some shout-outs to people that have helped you out. I'm sure you've already given a few. And then, Scotty Austin, give some last words for the people.
Well, of course, Mama Mary's Music, Rock Tide Entertainment, for putting on the Fast Ass Rock Show. She's one of the best promoters in the world. And, 10-inch records, I wouldn't be able to make this new music without them. Laura Drumsticks, LAR, those guys take care of us. Paul Reed Smith. You guys just make sure you go on to ScottyAustinOfficial.com and check out all my tour dates, because I have about 40 states so far this year. So I will be coming to a state near you, I'm sure. So please come say hello to me. I love to meet people, and keep making music. Hope to see you all soon. Rock and roll.
Oh my goodness, party people. There you have it. I said it before. I said it at the top. The man through and through, rock star, but not just rock star, music star, musician. The man has studied his craft. Scotty Austin, you are a rock star. You are a musician. You are an artist. I guess it makes some people cringe when they say, I've studied my craft. Well, Scotty Austin, you studied your craft like anybody studies anything. If you want to be good at something, you study at it. You work hard at it. Scotty Austin, you put in the years. You put in the time. You deserve all the accolades. You deserve all the following. You deserve all you're getting. And I know you said you put that song out. Oh, my gosh, what a sweet story. You didn't even put the song out for the radio. You put the song out for your boy, for your family. You don't care if somebody else liked it. It was something you had to play, and that's what got you to that next level. You were at one level, you went to that next level. You got propelled into a band that has been established, and you became the head of that band, the front of that band. And now you're on your own. You got your people behind you. You still got your loyal friends, your loyal bandmates behind you. And all I could see is you going up and up and up. Skyrocket, Scotty Austin. Man, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to that show on June 11th at the Rev Room in Little Rock. But if by hook or by crook, if there's any way I could be there, I'm going to be there. Mary, hold a chair for me. I'm checking my calendar right now. I don't have anything going on right now. Wait, July 9th. I don't have anything going right now. July 9th at the Rev Room in Little Rock, Arkansas. Be there. Be there. And follow Scotty Austin on social media. I think his website might be down, but you can find him, Scotty Austin, on Facebook, The Scotty Austin. Follow him on Facebook and make sure that you find out where he's going to be close to you. Close to you. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. Man, I'm giddy. I had a good time talking to Scotty Austin. All right. Now, everybody's got a story. If you, my loyal listener, if you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email keysdan@aol.com. That's it for me. Oh, before I go, thank you, Mary Holt, Rock Tight Agency. Oh, my goodness. Rock Tight Entertainment out of Little Rock, Arkansas. And she's also Mama Mary's Music Mayhem. So find Mama Mary, too. Mama Mary comes to me. Rock tight. All right, party people. That's it for me. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.